Hey, here's this type. John is still trying to vote. Sure.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Well, I have 4:37. At this time, we'll call the meeting of the Virginia City Commission to order. With that, Commissioner Ray, would you lead us in prayer?
Father, we come before you, as always, grateful for the city of Canyon. We're grateful for the people that spend their days taking care of our city, like our first responders, like the people who work for the city. Father, I want to just lift up to you Joe and the people that work directly under him, the leaders of each one of our departments. I pray that you will just put your hand on them and that you will give them wisdom as they lead our city. Father, I ask the same thing for us today in this meeting, that you will just guide us and help us to make the best decision for the citizens of Canyon. Father, we're grateful for the weather. We're grateful that you just have chosen us to live in this great community. We're grateful for that. In your name we pray. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to introduce Bo Boyer as our new budget purchasing manager. Bo comes from the Metroplex, has a lot of nonprofit experience. It's going to help centralize purchasing and expedite and give more efficiency to our purchasing power. So I just wanted to introduce him. We're going to get a chance maybe go by and say hello when we get done here later this evening. So welcome, Bo.
Good to have you. All right, that takes us to the approval of the minutes of the meetings held on November 1st, November 2nd, and November 4th of 2021.
There's no changes. I move that we accept those.
Second. Put a motion second to approve the minutes as written. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. That takes us to item number 6. To consider and take appropriate action on all matters incident and related to the issuance and sale of City of Canyon, Texas tax and water work and sewer system surplus revenue certificate of obligation, taxable series 2021, including the adoption of ordinance number 1148 and ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Canyon authorizing the issuance of City of Canyon, Texas tax and water works and sewer system surplus revenue certificate of obligation, taxable series 2021, providing for the payment of such certificate of obligation by the levy of the net foreign tax upon all taxable property within the city and the pledge of the net revenues derived from the operation of the city's waterworks and sewer system, providing the terms and conditions of such certificate and resolving other matters incident and relating to issuance, payment, security, and delivery of such certificate of obligation and providing for an effective date. Joe?
Joel had a
Jason?
Okay. Joel had a family friend pass away, and he's not going to be here today. But Jason, with his presence, joins us today. First, we got 2 debts to deal with. First one's the issuance. This is the land purchase to the north for water. And so, Jason, go ahead.
All right, Mayor, Commissioners, it's good to be with you today. So for the record, I did not write that language that you spent the last 10 minutes reading very
Thank you.
That's bond counsel, but.
Blame it on Joe?
Yeah, exactly,
I
yeah.
didn't either.
We can blame it on bond counsel, they're not here to defend themselves, so. So as Joe said, we do have 2 issuances. This will cover agenda items 6 and 7 if it pleases the commissioners, and then those items will be voted on individually. But what we did is we went out, we put out a term sheet for both the certificates of obligation as well as the GO refunding bonds, and told any interested banks to please submit a bid to us by yesterday. And so as you can see there, what you have in this little 2-pager that I handed out is the summary of those bids. So we did receive 4 bids, and the first half is over the taxable certificates of obligation. 4 bids with Amegy Bank being the winning bidder at a 1.9%. The nice thing about this is you see the difference between the bids. They bid at 1.9%. Your number 2, which is Truist, bid 2.25%. So over 0.3%. That doesn't sound like a whole lot, but as far as bidding, that's a significant difference. So said another way, they were very aggressive in their bid, and they provided, again, the lowest bid of 1.9%. So that final par amount that we're asking for your approval of is $4,150,000. That will generate $4.1 million after cost of issuance. It is a 10-year term, so relatively short term. And again, that true interest cost is 1.9%. Just to give you an idea how low that is, that's about $215,000 less in debt service that you'll pay than what I projected. So very happy with that bid from Amegy. The other nice thing about this too is these are callable anytime. And so that's one thing that we wanted to make sure that we did is kept that flexibility. So if you ever wanted to pay this debt off early, if you got dollars in, whether sale of land, what have you, you can turn around, you can pay these off. There's no penalty for doing that. So again, that's something that's embedded, and again, subject to your approval tonight or this afternoon. Again, those are callable anytime.
On that point.
Yes, sir.
And so one of the discussions that we had with Jason and Joel was, we wanted a shorter term that's callable. If we do, get our well sites, get all that done, and resell that off. Instead of continuing to use that debt, we would sell it off, pay the debt off, and then have a new issuance. Jason and I had quite a few talks about that. Cost effectively, that would be the better option than to just carry this debt and go with that and use that as long term, but to pay it off and reissue at that point. So.
And to Joe's point, these again are taxable COs. So one thing that we also did is, and it's a little bit different, is we went to the Attorney General's office. We made sure that issuing these COs that we wouldn't run afoul of any state law. And so we kind of pre-cleared that, if you will. They did say, yes, we could do that based on some of the fact patterns, though you'll have to do it on a taxable basis. To Joe's point, if we were to do that, then we could, again, pay that off, issue tax-exempt debt, which would be at a lower interest rate. So that's exactly that.
That's why we want to do that.
So that is, again, that is the first item. That is agenda item 6. And then if you'd like, I'm happy to stop if you want to go ahead and take a motion on that, or I'm happy to go over the GO refunding bonds, which is agenda item 7.
So because they're taxable, that's why that rate's a little bit higher?
Yes, sir. That's exactly it. Exactly. They're the same, ultimately they're the same pledge as far as what the bondholder gets, but yes, it's simply a difference between the taxable and the tax-exempt.
We're looking at closing on this property on December 7th as our closing date. 7th or 8th.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
And again, I didn't know if you want to go ahead and take the motion for, they will have to be 2 separate motions.
Right.
Okay.
I'd entertain a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and second to adopt ordinance number 1148. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Okay. Thank you. Then item number 7 is to consider and take appropriate action on all matters incident and related to the issuance and sale of City of Kenyon, Texas General Obligation Refunding Bond Series 2021, including the adoption of ordinance number 1149, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Kenyon, Texas, authorizing the issuance of City of Kenyon, Texas General Obligation Refunding Bond Series 2021, specifying the terms and features of said bond, providing for the redemption of the matters incident and related to the issuance, sale, payment, and delivery of said bond, including the approval and execution of a paying agent registrar agreement, a purchase letter, and a deposit letter, and providing an effective date. Preston.
Okay, so on the bottom half of that first page, this goes through, we went through the same exact process where we asked banks to submit a bid for the general obligation refunding bonds, and so we're taking out the 2012 COs as well as the 2013 GO refunding bonds, which carry rates of 3 to 3.5%. Doesn't sound all that high, right? But if you see there below, we got bids from 5 banks, with Amegy again being the lowest bid at 1.45%. So we're actually taking that debt and we're more than cutting in half the interest rate that you're paying on that. So much like you refinance your home mortgage, we didn't extend the term or do anything like that. All we're simply doing is lowering the interest rate and lowering the city's payments on that. So final par amount subject to your approval of $7,395,000. And then again, if you turn to the second page, since we are doing this for savings, once again, there is no extension of the term, so the bonds will pay off in 2032, as does the current debt. And then you can see there, I've got some savings figures. We look at the gross savings, which is about a little over $600,000. That's the savings that you'll receive from 2022 through 2032. Since you don't get all those savings in a lump sum, you take them year by year, we also provide a net present value savings. Just the savings in today's dollars is what that simply means. And as you can see, that savings in today's dollars is about $554,000. One of the things that we do is we have a metric to measure how efficient the refunding is. And so typically what we look at is anywhere from 3 to 5% of the refunded bonds. You can see this was 7.7%, so certainly well above that. So very happy with that. One other thing I would point out, what's always kind of nice is we got a little bit more justification for going and doing a private placement. We actually received an unsolicited proposal yesterday from a bank looking to go underwrite the bonds out in the open market. Again, we did private placements, and what they had provided was, whereas you see in that far right column under savings, $603,000 of savings, their numbers based on an open market issuance was $566,000. So we're about $37,000 greater, more savings by doing what we did. So very happy with those results, very happy with those rates. And as Joe pointed out, these will close on December 7th. So with that, commissioners, be happy to answer any further questions you may have.
What coincidence, both are on the 7th.
This is not callable.
This is callable. I apologize. It should. I did not put that in there. These are callable as well. My apologies. Yeah, I did miss that. But yes, it is callable any time.
These are 2012s, right?
It takes out the 2012s and the 2013s.
2013.
Yes, sir.
We currently have on our desk.
I move we approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 1149. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Appreciate it.
Good work. You know, that also is a pretty nice piece just from a cash flow standpoint for our budget improvements each year too.
Absolutely.
All right, item number 8 is our work session for the continued development of the City of Canyon strategic plan via Zoom. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully.
Sean, we'll turn your camera on.
Lyle, can you hear me?
Go ahead now.
Well, it's fun.
You're welcome to stay.
Lyle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So, Commission, you'll have to speak a little pretty loud. The owl is right there. So, it can struggle at times. It can struggle at times to pick up your voice. So, when you do have questions or comments for Lyle, please try to speak loudly. so he can kind of see you through that owl. But I think we're all here and present and accounted for, Lyle.
So ready to go?
Ready to go.
Thank you for your time last week, and I'm looking forward to a productive meeting tonight. I don't know how long it will take. Following up our session, I met with the staff all day. We had a very active day. If you talked with Joe and John, it was extremely active. And we prepared an action agenda item for each item that you prioritize. There's some minor modifications. It's called Section 11. And I also prepared a second document, which is a summary of what we did last week in the form of an initial draft of the strategic plan. Tonight, what I'd like to do is go through relatively quickly the action outlines to see if they respond to your needs. Joe, jump in, and as we go through this, we'll come back and you're going to determine what are your top 6 priorities for policy and the next 6 highest. So we'll break them into top, high, and then the others will be listed as moderate. We'll do that also with Joe's list, and it will be top, high, and moderate. So that's our goal tonight, is to review the action agendas. I will be working through both documents. So the landscape, we're going to start on page 16. I also had an opportunity, thank you, Paul, for meeting with Paul virtually and got his input. He agreed with you a lot, so his comments are reflected here as well. So if you go to the landscape, page 16, high-performing city scene providing valued services. There are 5 outcome-based objectives. So everybody, page 16, landscape. It looks like, yes. Thumbs up if you're ready. Everybody ready? Just to review what you've identified as objectives, 5 years. Do that real quickly, and then we'll go to the actions that you all identified, and we'll be on the portrait starting on page 13. 13 in the portrait. So we'll be going back and forth between the two.
And that's in section.
For goal 1, you had 6 objectives. Effective outreach and communications with the community, outstanding customer service, communicate and collaborate with local, state, and federal partners, maintain and enhance an organization culture that values innovation, process improvement, productivity, and teamwork, deliver services in a cost-effective, efficient manner, and in 5 years, expand revenue options to fund city infrastructure upgrades as well as services. So with those in mind, go to page 13.
Lyle, hang on.
Lyle, that's going to be in section 11, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
It looks like this. This will be where the bulk of our work will be tonight.
It's in the note.
So if you look at the police, is everybody there?
You bet.
Police, City Hall, Fire Station plan, and that is a concept plan and acquisition. During the next year, it would be coming to you as an award contract for the concept plan in April. You see the other steps. Back to you in a work session in November of 22, and then linking that to the bond package as funding mechanisms in January 23. That is a real critical date because that allows you to have the election in May of '23. If that is not met, then it slips back. The other thing, we'll be discussing land acquisition in closed session this month, a report, and then a closed session determining the direction there. Any questions, comments on this one? Does that meet your needs? Comments there?
We've broken that down.
Thumbs up if you're okay.
We've broken that down into phases. We're hoping to be able to do some design and acquisition prior to the bond. We're hoping.
Everybody okay? Thumbs up?
Sure.
Going to the next one is the CIP revision and refinement. That will be coming to you next June in the workshop, and that will include a list of projects, priority rankings, and a budget document, and you're doing the final adoption in July of next year. You can see the issues over on the left that will be addressed. Any questions there? You okay with that?
Will we, that's final adoption, but will we, like after the first year, will we have a list that we could go off of? If somebody has another project that say, you know, this is a $4 million deal or a $1 million deal, do we have something to compare, to look at?
Of what's already on the list?
Of what's already on the
Yes.
list.
I haven't had a chance to touch it still, and so it's on my list probably later this month to get projects that I know are out there that need to go on. Once I get that, then I'll be happy to release it some more. So right now, fall, October to December in the planning phase of the CIP for project submission. So October to December is project submission from directors, management, and such. So if anybody has any other projects they'd like to submit, be happy to hear from any commissioners as well. But that's where we're at, and then we'll move to the next phase of John and I will review those with the finance director moving forward. At that point, Gary, I think we'll feel good of releasing those. We won't have any cost estimates. We'll just have itemized projects with not a lot of descriptions. Just, you know, replace water line 7th to whatever street kind of thing. So.
Any other comments there? Going to the next one is the bond package. That will be a conversation with bond counsel in December. The initial strategy, January, getting a ballpark figure for you in May of next year, and then a final one for you to set the bond package and election in January. Comments on that one? You okay with that? Thumbs up. You ready to go? I see Cody's. Thumbs up, good. Going to the next one. Randall County Strategy. Initiate quarterly meetings with the county judge in December and give you an update on those starting in January. The city manager is the primary lead. Discussion topics are the county courthouse, development process, ETJ, economic development, tours, and fire protection. Others will be added to that list. But that's the start. Comments there? The next policy action is an asset management plan or system. Research on both best practices and software. That will be in your budget, and you'll see that in the workshops in June and July. And then your decision on funding it. If you fund it, getting the person on board and hired by October to start the process of really putting together a true asset management system for the city. Comments there? You okay with those? Thumbs up? You're okay? I see Gary turning. The final management or policy one that you prioritize is the management and employee succession plan. This will be developing the scope and outcomes by July of next year, researching best practices, and having a finalized program for, by 6 of 23, and that would be built into any funding for fiscal 24. But for this year, it's really the research and developing an initial proposed program. Comments on that one? It is worthy to note that 6 positions in senior management will be retiring in 5 years, plus additional employees in the city. So this will really put together a framework that could be funded in 24. Questions there? You okay with that? Going to the next one. This is on management's list, and again will be prioritized under management. It's fire department staffing. Investigate fire staffing impacts on the ISO rating and get a direction from you in January, in 2 months, on direction, as well as apply for the SAFER grant depending upon your direction, and that submittal would be in March of next year. A lot of different issues here, from the ISO rating, which you're at 2 now, future ratings, impact on insurance rates, volunteer versus full-time, difficulty in finding and retaining volunteers, cost, the grant funding, and impact on response times. Any questions, comments there? You okay with that one?
So, decision fire staffing direction on January. Are we going to have a work session too in there to kind of dig in?
We are going to bring back probably 1 to 3 options, maybe 4, on a decision to be made. So we had the big powwow before. Nothing has changed in terms of that, really. And so I think it's time to, we had mixed outlooks on what that looks like. Do them all at once, or do them over 2 or 3 years. And so it'll come down to a vote of what y'all decide on that.
So we ought to add in there, finalize a report with options then.
That's right. Yeah.
As part of the, in December, getting ready for that decision in January. Is that fair, Joe?
Yeah, and that's the goal. We're going to lay out, we got some,
So I will add that as a step in this.
I think some of our commission discussion has been too, are there additional enhancements we can do for the volunteer to make that? I think that's a piece.
So what I heard, Gary, is it as an issue is additional enhancements for volunteers. Is that right?
Correct. How that fits into the whole picture there.
I will add that as an issue. Any other comments? So we've added additional enhancements for volunteers in the report with options for you. Any other comments there? The financial policies, there are 3 major parts to this. A is debt policy and bond practices, which will come to you in April. Long-term financial model and projections, that will be coming to you in September. And then updating your financial policies, that will be presented to you for adoption in March of next year. A lot of different issues that will be addressed, but those are the 3 key actions during the next year. Questions there? You okay with those? Development funding mechanism, phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 is sign an agreement, obtain input from staff and stakeholders by February, analyze future development and infrastructure needs by April, the report finalized in May, a work session on feedback and initial direction by June. Depending upon what your direction is, a final report will be prepared with recommendations, and your decision next August would be to give you your final direction on the funding mechanisms. Also in 23, we'll complete a design standards update. Questions or comments on this one? You okay with that one? Comprehensive rates for water, wastewater, and solid waste direction. That will come to you in a work session in May, and with rate structure by July, implementing the new rates in October, right after the fiscal year. You okay with that one? Any comments there? Okay. American Rescue Dollars presentation November, a decision on project funding, and authorization for design in December.
Probably
Next.
won't get to
Go
that
ahead.
until December, so on presentation, Lyle.
December?
Yeah, for presentation.
Okay. So both will be in December.
I would,
correct?
I would move decision to January. Just move everything back a month.
Okay, done.
Trying to give these guys a little bit of a break.
We hadn't even got the plan and we're already pushing things back.
It's in draft form, Commissioner Jones. I'm just trying to limit your time here.
Then the strategic plan will be to you in December for adoption, the document we're working on tonight. Yeah. Going to the next one, on management is human resource policy. It's on management. It will be for management's final review and approval and sign off in August of next year. Again, it's on Joe's list. The next one is on management list is the water barn facility purchase. Resolve title issues to be determined. Once they're resolved, it's 6 months to complete remodel project.
That is
Questions or comments there?
we have an update to that topic on the November 15th agenda in closed session.
So I'll put closed session update, is that right?
Yeah, just legal update, yes.
Any other comments there?
No, sir.
Going to the next one is proactive communication strategy, which links to one of your objectives directly. That will be research best practices June, a comprehensive plan by December of next year, and a presentation to you in January.
The bottom of that page, Lyle, should be director, not direction, on responsibility.
I got it. I see it. Thank you. Any other comments there? On the next 2 pages, these are management in progress. These are things that the staff is following through. There's a deliverable and the date on all of these. Many of these, like number 14, 17, 19, 21, are all budget decisions, and the procurement policy on the next page is also one that will come to you. Any questions or comments on any of these items? You okay with that? Going to the next one. This one had the long-term water supply. Staff suggested the greater need is the wastewater management plan. And this would be determining the scope and cost and putting the funding for this in your CIP. And then you would make the decision to adopt it. Staff commented that is an urgent need right now. There's a need to define the scope and methodology and figure out the cost and funding of it. Comments on that one? Are you okay with that, adding that?
Gary's got a
So,
comment.
are we pulling out the water study, or we're doing both?
I think,
They're different.
yeah, I think.
We've got some other water actions coming up. If you look at the water actions,
We,
Return to the
wastewater,
board.
out of the studies that we have, the wastewater study is, staff's opinion is the highest needed to be attention at this point.
Yeah, there's,
I know we're
on
hearing
page
past,
36.
so, but,
Hang on,
Water
hang on,
rights
Lyle,
and
just a
supply.
moment.
so I guess.
On page
I may be-
36, same document.
Hang on, hang on.
Well, I may be getting the cart ahead of the horse,
Purchase of
but.
620 acres, a report coming to you in May, and then developing wells and identifying opportunities for purchasing water rights is ongoing.
Lyle, hang on, 1 second.
Well, I may be getting the cart ahead of the horse, but, so we're saying we are still going to address, it's just not as high priority as what we're saying this is, but we still got it in the mix. Is
Yes,
that
the
what-
water supply plant is still in the mix, it's just wastewater is higher than it, in our opinion.
And we've
Does
moved to
that make
goal,
sense, Gary?
we've moved to goal 2 on the landscape right now, right? Is that right, Lyle?
Pardon me?
Have we moved to goal 2 on the landscape forms now?
We're on goal 2.
Okay.
Going to page 31. Business attraction plan. This was one of your priorities that you identified. And this would have the CEDC develop a business action plan, attraction plan for you, and present it to you probably around to the City Commission in September. So it would involve them, you requesting it, them developing it, their board reviewing it, and a presentation to you in December or in September of next year. You okay with that one? Moving to the next one. Next one, staff suggested dropping the tourism development strategy and focusing more on economic development this year. And this is pending completion of the Hampton Inn project, which will then provide the revenues to develop this. That makes sense to you all? Any questions?
You know, I
The
think
next-
some
hold
of
on.
these that we
Yeah.
pull out then, Lyle, that, so basically staff's changing direction of what the commission proposed here. My thought is, it ought to be, if we are doing a review and update next year, we ought to look at these, okay, what did we say we're putting off, and
Oh yeah, again, we would hopefully come back, Gary, a year from now, and we pick that one up.
And in law, if they want to reinstate some of these, I have no issues with any of that.
What was that, Joe? You broke up on me.
If they want to reinstate some of these ones that we requested to be on
They
hold,
can.
we are
Yep.
happy to do that. And so I will, anybody has any questions of why we made these calls, I'd be happy to answer any of those questions.
yeah, I'd say as we go through here, if anybody's got any questions or think, well, wait, you know, that's important enough, we need to leave it in, that commission put in everything, yeah.
You want to add it back for this year?
You know, while another thing, you know, I've thrown out to Joe too, I think there's a lot on the list to take care of in 1 year. So,
We thought,
if staff's saying, you know, need to put priority on the other, you know, focus on that. My deal is, I think this is important to the city commission, and so it ought to be on the top of the list next year for us to come back around and say, okay, we pull this one out, you know, and to get some other stuff done, but no, this was important to the
Here,
city.
there's a list that's on the horizon list. You'll see that list as we work through here. It's all the projects that we know we can't get to this year,
That
basically.
you all pulled out. and-
Or that you all placed on the horizon. That one of the two groups placed it on the horizon and said, we don't know that we can do that this year, but we don't want to lose it. There's a placeholder. Nothing will go, nothing gets pulled out and thrown away.
The
Lyle,
ones
that's
that
the way.
did not get a priority, Gary,
Right.
are on the horizon, so nothing we talked about last time is not in the plan.
Right.
we, on the EDC versus the tourism aspect, we need some more hot funds to come in. to really expand the tourism stuff that we have already had discussion on. From my instinct, dealing with y'all for the last 2 years, aspects of the CEDC and the strategies moving that way seem to be a little bit of a higher priority at this point. If that is not the case, please say so.
Say that a different way.
So basically, tourism development
Did you understand what I'm saying?
and EDC development are kind of neck and neck with each other, being that we have had lots of EDC discussions and wanting to continue to move the EDC forward, and we've taken lots of stuff in the last 2 years. We felt that the EDC aspect was higher on the list than the tourism aspect, which we're waiting on to get more hot tax in there. They only get about $265,000 a year. We're projecting 75 to 90,000 more a year with the new hotel. That'll help generate some more money to do more things. And so right now we're kind of waiting on that project to finish, that hotel to open, so there could be a big financial impact on that. However, EDC, our funds for sales tax are as high as they've ever been. They're on the rise, and I think there's some things we can tackle now, moving that direction on the EDC side. And I've shared some of my private thoughts on that with a few of you.
But the increase in hot tax is just gonna add to the percentage pie that CPD sends out to.
We're gonna
So what difference?
we're gonna revisit that.
That may look different.
That may look different. I think that may look different for the future when we look at that.
Because there's not enough money there now.
No, we may do something differently of how we do tourism in town. It goes back, remember we had a conversation with us doing our own CVB. We're gonna revisit that aspect.
Other things will be worked on this year on tourism, but the emphasis really is on the economic development side, which you all put as a very high priority.
Yep.
I'm okay with leaving out, but I would like it to be number one on the horizontal list.
I'm fine.
You wouldn't make that happen.
Yeah, I'd like it to be number one on the
Well, wait
horizontal.
till you see the list. There may be something higher on that list too,
I
Paul.
don't think so. There
But
might
it's
be.
important. I mean, it's important, and we know that. It
So I
won't go
think
away.
it's listed first on the horizon.
Yeah, it won't go away.
Easiest way.
This is the topic we had Shane Sorensen come and visit with us about, and so I know we're gonna want more information on that eventually to make a decision. You know, right now, kind of what Cody was talking about, there's gonna be a balance, because we don't wanna not give these current tourism attractions money. You know, we don't wanna take that away from them, as well as the chamber on doing some of those events. So we need more dollars to make that work and to be able to do both things. And so there is a funding restriction on that now, unless you cut somebody completely out. That's the restriction on the dollars, right? I don't think anybody wants to do that. So Texas is getting that money, the museum, the chamber, WT, those are the main ones. And so I think having a little more money in the kitty will help make that less of a burden, and where we don't have to do that unless, you know, we do want to go that way. We can do that. It's on that side, but
You know, and maybe what Paul's saying too, I think some focus, if tourism is that important, you know, I know we've talked about another possible position, but, you know, we may not have the money to do that even in, you know, a couple of years. So, you know, one way or another, there's that focus on tourism.
There is.
Somebody
We all agree.
in staff.
We all agree.
We feel that that's going to be a big thing to tackle, and I think that's going to be a larger tackle right now than the EDC piece is.
You okay with that, Gary?
I'm all, I don't disagree with any comments that have been made by the commission whatsoever. And there are a lot of things in here about major attractions that we haven't talked about yet too. And so that is some tourism based as well.
It is in the vision and mission and various parts of the plan. Ready to move to the next one? Thumbs up if you're ready. The CEDC. This would be to request a strategic plan that addresses the issues that we identified last week. Role, goals, work program, performance metrics, reporting. And that would have that developed by June of next year and a presentation to you by September. There is another element to this, because you all put economic development as a major priority, staff suggests adding number 30, page 34. And that's from the city's perspective, developing a policy and toolkit. This would be to look at best practices for cities, what are the tools for cities, put together a framework, presenting that to you in May of next year, finalizing that policy, and getting you to make a decision on the policy and toolkit. This is two parts. The one that you identified as one, we took and separated into two actions. One with the EDC and one for the city. Hopefully that made sense what I just said.
Kind of goes back to the conversation we just had about the EDC being the big piece to tackle. And so you can see there's quite a bit of work to be done in these two categories.
So, these are independent of each other. One of them was developed and articulated by vision from the commission, which is a strategic plan, and that's going to be completed in 9/22. But simultaneously, maybe some conflicting information coming out from a policy development policy of toolkit guidelines simultaneously from staff.
It's all the same. There's EDC tools and there's city economic tools.
What makes partly sense, building off Cody's, would to make the presentation on page 33 to be in July as well, so the two can converge.
Why are they independent of one another? Or it sounds like they're in competition.
Joe, the city can, we can do a 380 agreement.
380 agreement, property tax abatement, pilot agreements. There's a lot of things the city can do.
Aware.
And so those, from my opinion, are not. I think we could do better at using those tools that we have.
And that would come from this building, not from the CEDC.
I understand that, but would that not be in coordination with the CEDC?
I would hope for it to be.
Yes.
So shouldn't these two plans and the development of how you move forward with policy and toolkit and strategic plan be merged together?
I would like that, but that's not how it's traditionally been. It's traditionally not
If you
been
want to
that way.
do this, we could do city economic development plan and strategy on page 34 or 33, and the CEDC is A and city B, and make it one, Cody. So
Well,
does that make sense?
I'm not concerned with what's on this paper. I'm concerned with our two organizations going in two different directions and then trying to
I'm
merge.
combining these now into one.
I understand what you're doing. I'm talking about what's actually happening at the city.
I know.
I don't want them to go in two different directions and then come together and not be on the same page. Does that help me understand why we would?
I don't feel that we're tapping into our economic development tools on the city organization side.
100%.
And that's what I think we can do better in coordinating that aspect.
And you think that's independent of the CDC?
I think right now it is.
Should it be?
In my opinion, one day, no.
Why don't we make it one day right here?
I think part of it is just a lack of my thought would be that the CEDC is using the city's economic tools and their EDC economic tools together. I don't think the EDC has a full understanding of what tools the city has to offer at this point.
But then if that's the case, you're literally putting the cart before the horse.
Go on. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, if they're going to develop if you're going to develop your policy after they do, I mean, I don't understand. Am I confusing too, Gary? Am I lost?
Can I make a suggestion, Cody, that responds to yours? Combining pages 33 and 34 with the heading change to City Economic Development Framework Development. Under that, A is the CEDC changing that to have the presentation to you in July to match B, which is on page 34, Economic Development Toolkit, Policy and Toolkit for the City. So I'm taking these two pages, merging them together under a new heading called City Economic Development Framework.
I understand what you're doing. I'm clear.
Does that make sense?
I'm clear on what you're doing, yes.
You know, I think it probably is.
Does it capture what you would like to see?
Moving forward, needs to know what all tools are available, so, you know,
And the city's saying
if
they
we're
don't know
gonna
for
move
sure
that
what those
direction on
are.
some of them, they need to know some of those are available.
I know what they are, I just don't think we're tapping into that tool, I mean.
And communicating with them on what those tools
Right,
are.
and I intend to have a presentation on that, so that's the goal, is that they would use both tools in negotiation. I mean, we could even go as far as acquiring property or, you know, demolition, you know. One of the agreements we're working on now for an undisclosed project that y'all been talking about, the city would lay the water line to this place. Well, where does that go in as an incentive? Well, that's a city economic incentive. That's not an EDC incentive. That's a city of Canyon incentive.
100%.
And so I think we can do like, I think Lyle said it good, you know, we have a toolbox and that's one tool. I just would like to see that progress forward.
You know, Joe, I think a big difference in this and in the past, the EDC has operated pretty much as their own.
They're pretty
They really,
independent.
they're very independent. They
Right.
really haven't come to us. This takes a whole different direction, and so, and even to the point of us requiring a strategic plan from them, I think it's probably a good idea to have it, but that's way different from in the past.
If they develop a strategic plan, right, like we're asking them to, it's not gonna involve what he's talking about. So it means nothing to me. If they're not using every tool available to them, then that's just words on paper. It doesn't mean anything. That's just a waste of time. And what I'm afraid of is it's gonna bog them down to be doing words on paper stuff instead of taking care of business. So if we can merge those two, and, you know, we can provide, hey, you know, well, we understand you want to be independent, we get that. We want you to be independent. And there's a lot of times, 98% of the time, you need to be independent. But there are also times, for example, the next project, where you need to at least let us know where we can merge those two, and the city can provide information to you that, hey, there's some stuff we can do here that's advantageous to the taxpayer and to the business. The reason I say that is, I think this is, I don't know when would be a better opportunity to make that happen. We can make that happen here. But I feel there's some reluctance, maybe it's some side conversation we need to have, that there's something there that maybe we don't all want to work together.
And maybe there needs to be a sit down with the EDC. I mean, we've done that just once, I know, in the past.
And I am on the agenda to come and present city economic development tools to the new, I mean, there's a lot of new members on that EDC board.
Because 33 came from the commission, correct? That was one that they voted on, Lyle?
Yes.
Okay, and 34 is one that we added. We just want to make sure those things are included. So it doesn't have to be separate, we just want to make sure it's included.
We went a little more, we wanted more.
I mean, like you're saying, you want to make sure they're included, and so do we.
So Joe, what would you suggest doing? You've heard Cody's comment.
I don't know, I'd like to hear from the rest of them too. I know where Cody stands, I'm not surprised by his comments, but I'd like to hear from the rest of the body on the same topic.
All right, Kelsey, what are your thoughts?
Maybe come back to Kelsey, she's our newest member.
All right, Randy.
I agree with Cody. I think you have to do things in the proper order for it to work right. Does that make sense? So I see where Cody's coming from, and I would tend to agree with him.
I'm not understanding the
Paul?
order, I don't guess.
Huh?
Like, I'm not understanding the order. What I hear is that Joe's trying to say he wants to get those tools together to take to the DEC as we're moving forward on developing it. So I don't know how you're saying you want to put them together, right?
Yes.
I don't know. That's
Tools and best practices, you know, this scenario.
But I didn't feel like they were separate necessarily.
They could be combined,
Yeah.
yes.
That's what I was suggesting.
Some of those tools.
We revised the action outline based
We haven't
upon
really
your
looked at it
comments
to understand
tonight.
them.
And I think
Which is
more,
the point.
It
yeah.
almost bribes them to be more.
And more of the city side, having the city commissioners actively involved in some of those. One of the economic development projects that we're doing right now, and y'all are aware of what that is, the city is running lead on that project, technically. The city organization is technically running lead on that project from economic development incentives.
Because this two things haven't happened yet.
Right, but doesn't it, it appears from the time frame that the staff is gonna put this 34 together, and then it's gonna slide in it at the appropriate time when they're building their report.
Yeah,
So
That is
it's-
correct.
It's an education process for them. Joe wants to put together for us.
Yeah.
And then we give that to them and say, here's the things that you all need to make sure you include in your plan. Does that help?
Do you feel reluctancy from this side about Paulson? Or what do you think?
Paul, what do you think you're kind of?
I think all these things need to happen simultaneously.
What do you think, Paul?
Oh, I think Cody's right. I think they need to, and I'd like to see Joe, because I think the EDC has got lots of problems, and maybe Joe can see the problems that I see, and he might do something about it. He's working with it.
We've discussed.
There's a thing, Paul, is addressing those problems.
Yes, but if you dress them separate, you won't ever see them.
They're thinking if we're.
Sue, is that what you'd like to do?
They're thinking
Revised strategy?
I think they're thinking if we're out of the loop on the strategic plan aspect of the CEDC, is that what I hear on that side, Paul? That we
100%.
They think that we're going to be too much out of the loop, the city itself, organizationally. From
I put in action a city joint meeting to discuss economic development, and then your involvement with at least some type of representation in the development of the EDC strategic plan. I think those are a couple things I'm hearing.
I think on the tools from the city side, I need to try to help educate the commission on some, good scenarios, this tool for that, this tool for that, on the city side of what we could be tapping into. You never know what.
Would you agree that that same information needs to go to the CDC?
Yes, and that.
Are we both ignorant of that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
That's my
Yes.
point. And I agree, put words on paper, do all the thing. I think you get the gist of
Yes.
where we feel. I'm good to combine them however you want to do.
And the one good thing is that Gary is on the CEDC board, and I do think it might be nice to have probably another commissioner at least involved, but he's actively on that. I'm not looking necessarily at you, Mr. Lyons, but I mean, involved in the strategic planning process for the CEDC. So
I'm good. Combine it, throw all the words on the paper. I'm good with that.
You guys ready to move?
Sorry.
I figured this
Sorry.
one because all of you identified this as a priority for you last week. So, and Paul added it as well. Water conservation policy and program on page 35 was one of your priorities. This would be to define outcomes and issues, research best practices, a report back to you by September with policy adoption in February 23. And there's a lot of issues over on the left that will be addressed as they do the research. From trees and plants, xeriscaping, landscape ordinance, and it's linking it to your beautiful canyon community as part of your vision. You okay with this one? Ready to move? Gary, do you have a comment?
No, I don't. So,
Sure.
I think there are a lot of pieces to this one. I threw out, one way we've done it in the past is just raise the top tiers of the water rates, and that helps conserve water. But I think
I'll
we're good
add
on
that as an issue.
It's about irrigation and watering lawns.
Yep.
Is
A lot of cities I work with, so I'll add that as an issue to be addressed as well. That's good. Any other comments there? Ready to move to the next one is water rights and supply. The rights is ongoing. decision on the purchase of the 620 acres will come to you in May. Comments on that one?
So the water supply report will come to us in May.
Yes.
The updated report from, I assume, Brand or something.
I think
As
this.
well as, that will be combining both water supply, short-term, long-term would be included in that report in May, Gary.
I thought that was just on this, property we were looking at, the one we were doing the phasing and all that. That's what I thought on that one.
Yeah, but it also includes some of the discussion on short-term, long-term water supply opportunities.
Okay.
At some point, we talked about updating our water supply report that was done back in 15 or 16, and I think that is something that engineer can do, and I think that needs to come to the next year.
Yeah, that'll have a budget implication on it, though. That's the only setback.
So, would that be a separate report, Gary, then, you want to see?
I think so. I don't think those two are hand in hand. I think water rights and obtaining that
And
is one
updating
thing,
the water.
and updating the water supply master plan or studies is two separate things.
It is two separate.
So we'll put actions there. When do you think you would come back with that part, Joe?
We're trying to do the wastewater one as the next budget, so it all depends on how much we can swing next budget.
I mean, I
Oh,
would
yeah,
like to
CIP
have it-
decision.
Honest, I would like to have it first half of next year, and I guess if it's that much of a budget item,
We-
but
The water supply report. We can definitely take a look at that. If we want to move that back up to City Commission and Gary, we can do that. So, staff
you
is.
know, if that's what it takes for us to know on long-term water rights or how hard we pursue that, I would like to. So, unless we're continuing to really pursue those anyway, based off of the last report, 15 or 16. So.
And we're gonna have some executive session just next week might make some of this clear on the wastewater versus a water report.
Right.
There's information that we'll be sharing with you all, related to wastewater and water.
I don't have a dollar figure on what the updated studies would be, Gary. I've had some very high-level conversations with the engineer that last time we waited 10 years to update it. We're 5 years out now on the current one, and I don't think we can wait 10 years this time.
I don't think so either. Just, you look at our population growth versus the projected, we're just, what's gonna be way ahead. So.
How about this, Lyle, on the water report, let's put for December to get a cost estimate from engineer to do it.
Got it.
We'll do that for December.
You're right, there's 62 days.
And then it would feed into a CIP funding.
Yes, and at this point, we probably have to take it out of reserves to fund it at this point. But if
Okay.
the commission feels that adamant about it, I think it's worth it.
I may be wrong. I don't remember that being that big of a dollar item.
It wasn't, I think it was
So,
50,000 the last time we did it, Gary.
I was thinking even less than that.
Maybe 40. John, do you remember what he quoted us? You were there.
No, but you can.
Yeah, it shouldn't be significant, but try to do both.
So it would be a funding, a budget amendment like in March of next year, February, March. Is that right,
Possibly,
Gary?
if it's good, if it's low enough, we might be able to swing it, so. But I think, let's get a cost estimate.
Does that help you, Gary, on yours?
Yes.
Because really, this was
Okay.
associated with the 620 acres.
This was more associated with the land we're
Because
purchasing
if
now,
you
not
read
not
number
the
one,
manager.
this was all
I'm
about.
gonna do an A and B on this one, Joe.
Yeah.
One is the short term and B is the long term.
Which is that well field and B is the
Yeah,
long term.
yeah, I'm good with that lot, so.
Okay? That's why we're reviewing these, folks. These have been very helpful. Again, staff did a tremendous job in one day getting these ready. Zoning ordinance rewrite, that will come to you in June of next year, along with the subdivision, and those two on page 37 and 38 are separate items, both on the management list, but will be coming to you. You okay with that? These are on Joe's list, underway. The development guide completion, that will roll out in August of next year. You okay with that one?
That's associated with the last two, those
That's
three
the
things.
process.
Yep.
You ready to move? Tours, that will be by December. Policy, board, and financial plan, and preliminary projects. So stay tuned for next month.
Yeah, the 15th, on Monday, this is a discussion for board appointments in closed session.
Right, we'll be ready with that.
We'll be having an early, I don't think we're planning on making a decision. We're having an early discussion of who those board member appointments for the 5 are gonna be.
We're,
And then
we're rolling with that.
we're rolling.
You okay with that, folks? Thumbs up if you're ready. Thank you, Kelsey. I see your arm in there. Stormwater and drainage master plan and utility system. This would be submitting for a grant this month, and then a decision on award for the master plan by July. It'll take a year to develop it.
So we've got an update on that. We submitted the grant. In the final hour, they moved the deadline for the grant to January. So I had a finance director that was very happy about that. So they moved to a new grant system. The deadline was Friday of last week. In the third hour before it was supposed to be done, the deadline moved to January. So we won't know anything until the timeline's going to be pushed back. However, from my perspective, that's a good sign, because that means they're not getting a ton of projects, and the likeliness of us getting this funded is high.
I'll move them back 2 months, Joe.
Okay. The grant's already been submitted, so you don't have to change that. It's done. I think
Right.
notification on grants probably 2 to 3 months, so move everything 2 to 3 months back on everything subsequent of submission. So the submission is done.
Got it. Ready to go? Housing and growth assessment report was on management. That'll be to you next month.
Yep, we're going to have an initial discussion on that, so let's add that one on there, an initial discussion with the commission in November.
Got it. Otherwise, okay? Moving to page 43, these are management in progress as well as major projects with completion times. Any questions on any of those?
So you can see the Visit Canyon stuff, the tourism aspects that we had talked about just a second ago. So,
ready to go to goal 3?
hang on, give them a second. Let them look over that real quick. Say that again.
Okay.
They're at the water tower and several of their water facilities. They're going to take out all the grass, just zero-scape everything to eliminate maintenance.
Quit having to mow.
Quit having to mow. So doing that with a lot of our facilities.
We've already done it around water tower east. We've already put rock around it. We've already done something just so we can quit having it.
Zero-scape in some of our facilities.
Okay, I was going to ask what that was.
Our
Is it
city,
item A?
our city facilities, our city water infrastructure, stuff like that, so.
It's a lot of time.
The other thing I would point out is number 2 is Visit Canyon, a workshop on tourism in April. So tourism isn't totally forgotten. There will be a workshop with you on that. Hopefully that helps. Any other comments? Ready to move? Alive Downtown Square. That is the revitalized courthouse. It's expanded retail. It's pedestrian friendly. Public art. The maintained brick streets and enhanced festivals are your objectives. The brick streets. Getting a report on options and costs. from remove and replace stamp asphalt and doing this over a one block and one intersection, getting that back to you in June to get direction on where you want to go. There are 42 blocks with brick streets. This is putting together an initial cost estimate
I
for
don't
one
see an
block,
option for repair
one
in
intersection.
So, I'm just seeing remove and replace and stamped or asphalt. So, can we get an option for repair?
All right, I'll add that.
This was a very long discussion with staff.
Yeah, and we had a good discussion, with Chance on Monday regarding the square specifically and the options and what the kind of options I want him to present to us.
I feel like this is an issue that the commission over a lot of years has wanted investigated repair options, and that's not an easy option, and we've never gone there. So, I think over 18 years. So.
I added repairs to the list.
Okay.
I do want to say that I think those two are very separate topics.
Yeah, huge difference in the two.
Explain that.
Reconstruction, for what John and I have heard early on, reconstruction of a brick street is basically building two streets these days. They build a cement street underneath, they put sand on top, and then they do the bricks on top. That's what we are hearing through the grapevine on some of these discussions. That's what I suspect. If we rebuild downtown streets, we'll have a street underneath with cement, built accordingly, we'll throw sand, some kind of subgrade in there, and the bricks will be back on top. That's what I think most are doing, which is twice the cost typically, because you're building two streets.
So maybe, is there another area where Brick Streets is in here too then, or, you know, yeah, downtown probably repair is not a very viable option, but on 8th Street, 6th Street.
With him putting repair on there, then it's on there now.
And we do have a separate place where brick streets are allowed, not just in downtown, so I think.
I know, but this one addresses both downtown and all.
And all, okay.
Then I think we need repair investigated. We've been
I
talking
did.
about that for a long time, and yeah. Okay.
And I think I'm gonna see some of that from the downtown master plan. I can't guarantee that, but I think I'm gonna see some analysis of that. Because I asked them to look at it, not just in that location, but in a broader 42 blocks.
I think that's a huge issue for the city.
You bet.
Not just the downtown area.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You ready to move? Next one is county courthouse use and interior improvements. Meet with the county judge and receive the first floor only, but that is to be determined. He is meeting with the judge now. Comments on the courthouse?
Well, I think that's it. I think it's
You okay with that?
And developing relationships there right now. I think that's all we're at.
You okay with that one? Going to the next one, staff suggests putting this on the horizon until the downtown master plan gets completed, because some of that will be addressed in the master plan. And so it doesn't go away. It would be listed first on the horizon. You okay with that one? I see some thumbs up. Downtown theater, and Gary, you've been volunteered here as well. Mayor and manager contacts property owner and getting an update to the council. That should be 122, not 23, under first action. And get a update report back to the city commission by April of what your discussions, what the results from your discussions were.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that probably involves a lunch with the property owner.
Does that make sense, Gary?
Yes.
Any other comments on this one? Going to page 48, this is on management. This is meet with the consultant in December. An initial master plan by April, then stakeholder input April, a briefing to the commission in May about what that initial draft entailed, and then from there prepare a final plan, have the P&Z review in August, and year adoption in October next year. You okay with that one?
Yep. Hold up, Lyle.
Lyle, let me ask a question on that last one, just
Sure.
just an example.
The downtown theater.
So mayor and city manager are gonna do that on January of 2022. Is there a calendar, I mean,
Yes.
that'd be easy for that to slip by me
Yes.
unless there's something on the calendar that pops up and says, hey, 1st January, y'all are supposed to have.
There's calendar pages that follow.
All right, Joe will make sure.
I'll make sure he's there. I volunteered him for it, so Commissioner Ray's in second. I'll be in volunteer too.
All right, so add him as well.
Yeah, add Commissioner Ray to that conversation, if that's okay.
I'm adding it.
Paul's
I just
laughter
couldn't remember his
confirms.
name by it. Okay with those two then? Ready to move to goal 4.
Are y'all on time this point right now?
Yeah, we just pushed them.
Hey, well, I was just asking John for just like an update on the downtown master plan.
Yeah, we talked this week.
Okay,
with-
go ahead,
We
John.
talked this week with Chance, and Chance talked about, we'll be there, community meeting December the 16th, and quickly Evelyn said, hey, December is just not gonna be good, the 16th, and when school's about out, and there's a lot going on, and they're taking vacation, we pushed him to January. Hey, it's okay. We would rather do it right and have the right plan than them rush to a December date. So they're gonna be back in town on like the middle of January with some schematics to talk to the committee about and some drawings, and the first time they're gonna see all these philosophical things that we've talked about on paper. So I feel pretty good about those. I feel pretty good about those dates. And updating also, I know that they have been working with Brent Engineering, and they will be helping with a lot of the cost estimations, which I have reminded them on a regular basis that cost estimations and project coordination and order and sequence and all of those things are super important to us. So I think they've got that message, and we're going to see a pretty good plan.
There will be a mini downtown CIP list
Yes.
of projects.
And we're all going to hold on to our hats when we see it, and then we'll just try to figure out how we can start eating that elephant.
Don't ask me what I think that number is going to be.
I mean, we know it. It doesn't matter.
It'll be high.
We'll get there.
Unless you have it.
Any other comments there? Good, Cody.
We need to
Your hometown, goal 4, a special place to live. And this is multi-use trails. It's a relationship with the university. It's enhanced events. It's partnership with schools and communities. It's maintain and upgrade parks and amenities. It's partnership with the faith community. It's developing family-oriented entertainment, and this maintain and enhance Hagen as a safe community, one of the safest in Texas. With those objectives, 4th and 23rd intersection cleanup, identify and define project has been completed. Contact TechStuck as a party.
He just read that long ago. I said, we'll go through it.
Hang on.
What he just read was landscape goal 4 is why, and it's going to start on page 49.
49.
But that's what that was the goal.
I went to the goal, which has your objectives, and linked these to the action.
We're in Texas, Lyle. We don't move as fast as you Florida people, so just hold on. We'll catch up to you.
Yeah, I did this on the other goal, maybe too quickly.
Yeah, we got it. We know where we are now.
So we're under goal 4 on this.
Yes, that's what you read.
Page 49 on portrait.
Page 29 in the landscape, and I'm on 49 in the portrait.
Julie's got something to do. She's
Thumbs up if you're ready to go to portrait.
Roll it up.
Page 49, fourth and third intersection cleanup plan. Comments there, you okay with that?
Well, it says it's complete. I maybe have something different in mind. I'm thinking we've got a lot to do in that intersection and development of new businesses.
Yeah, I don't know where complete,
So,
I don't know where that comes from. I don't know where complete really comes from, Lyle.
That's all in public infrastructure projects that I have on my Joe's to-do list. That's not business related.
So is there another place where the business revitalization of that intersection is listed, or is that something we need to, I think then that needs to be on here, something we pursue?
What was cleaned up?
I have an itemized listing of those projects, public infrastructure, traffic engineering stuff, things of that nature.
That's already been done.
It's on my list. It'll be done this month. So my meeting.
Because we have restaurant expansion and Southside revitalization, which may in part get what you're talking about, Gary.
From this one, you guys, this is like, 4th and 23rd, redoing new street lights with banner poles, make them decorative lights, colored, really nice, have new traffic signals with lighted signs, things like that. Sidewalks improved. That is what this is aimed at.
Appearance of property, restaurant expansion, Southside Road revitalization.
So why does it say complete?
Because I've got those identified.
They're identified.
Yes.
Completed.
Yeah.
And Joe, you may bring that to us, and that may be the whole deal. My vision would be revitalization of businesses there at that intersection as well. But then also, maybe even some incentive on some landscape or something to make that attractive.
And that was not my intent behind this one, so if we want to add that aspect to it, no issues here. My intent was only on the aesthetics of the infrastructure as a whole.
So let's do an A is the aesthetics and B the business revitalization.
Sounds like something. CEDC.
Because it's covered as issues there. What actions would you like to have done on the business revitalization in the next year?
Well, I think those things that are listed there. I think they're listed.
The restaurant expansion, the
Appearance of private property. Southside Road.
There's quite a bit of work to be done there on the private side of it. Maybe you do it this way, Lyle. You almost, I don't want to say bifurcate, but delineate private side and then public side as two categories. Yeah, something like
I've
that.
already done that.
I like that, good.
A is public, B is private. And the private business revitalization. What actions, Joe, could be taken on that this year?
I think initial discussions with owners on identified properties by commission and staff. So what does that mean, identified properties? Properties that are not aesthetically pleasing, maybe aesthetically dilapidated, maybe not necessarily enforceable by code,
Right.
but that are failing. For example, 4th and 23rd, the old theater, the smoke shop right
Right.
next to it. We can name some businesses that. Those
So
are
initiate discussion with property owners, right?
I think probably first an internal identification of those private businesses that make that list. We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, obviously, on that, but I think we identify those, and I think commission can help us identify those as well, as many eyes as we can. And then I think second part of that is probably, hey, we really want to clean up 4th or 23rd. This is a big intersection for us. What can we do to help clean that up?
So I think develop the list, brief the council and get input there,
Yep.
and then initiate the discussion with the property owners of those.
Outreach.
And that could be done in executive session too, I believe.
Yes, I think we could. Commission have
Does
any
that
other
make
thoughts
sense?
on that, Gary? Is that
Yeah.
everything whole?
Exactly.
Because I know in the codes, you know, when people do rebuild on 4th and 23rd, they have to like build their building by the road now and landscape and all that, so.
And what complicates it all is that we don't have the ability, we can't say what looks good and looks bad. The city doesn't have that ability. I mean, just like when we talked about moving property off the things that were on the square, and certain stores were keeping a lot of things on the square, you know, it's complicated. We can't say, as long as it meets code.
Yeah,
then-
unless you have a landscape ordinance.
And we move to something like that.
Commercial, the one we did before, commercial was the big one that was pushed more than home.
Right. I mean, we can encourage it, certainly.
Well, the EDC could have a big piece in some of the stuff.
And
I
they're
think it's
encouraged to
something
come
important
through.
to them, too.
They have
They're
their
encouraged.
facade, you know, and I think it's what, 25.
Facade grants.
Facade grants, $2,500 I think, so.
They have, in this case, they have more tools than we do to address that.
Yeah.
So
Unless
I'll
we
add
want-
all these points like EDC role, facade improvements, but the actions would be, when do you think you would get a briefing back to the council or the commission, Joe? Before you go initiate contact?
So on the public infrastructure side, I'll have those projects identified. I'm gonna meet with TxDOT on those.
Right, what about on the private side?
Let's say the fall, Joe. It's gonna be something.
Identifying the business
Takes
list,
time to get to that.
brief council, and then initiate the discussion with property owners.
Probably late summer, early fall of next year.
Okay?
We'll see that when we get back to the calendar.
Well,
So we've got an A and B, public and private.
Yeah.
Any other comments there? Are you okay with that?
Yep.
Bike and trails master plan, staff suggested splitting this into bikes go into transportation master plan, and the multi-use trails get incorporated into the parks master plan. Are you okay with this?
What does that mean?
So bike's more of a multimodal transportation piece, and then the trails aspect is more of the parks related.
So does that go on the horizon, or is it put in?
I don't remember where we put that.
I thought we put
Parks is on the horizon.
Yes, that's what I thought.
It's on the horizon. What we thought on the park side for the trails, Cody, which trails would be pet and bike, so pedestrian and bike, so. That, we probably do a parks plan, you know, we've been talking about doing it, but we probably pay a little bit extra to get a better trails plan. Park plan technically doesn't really.
That did not get enough votes, Joe, last week.
Say that again?
So it's on the horizon.
It's on the horizon.
We did get enough votes from who?
You.
You all the only ones who voted.
Yeah, we didn't vote on it.
Okay, so just for clarification, on the bike trail system.
Correct.
We have a funding source and people ready to cut those trails, and we're putting them on the horizon.
Right.
Make sure we're all on the same page.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know that we, Joe, could we not work on pieces and parts before we get the plan?
I mean, we can always go out and do a project, and then plan a project, but yeah.
I mean, we literally have
Put in bike projects.
We literally have a group that is out cutting trails, has a huge, massive Phillips 66 funding source of money ready to cut trails all around the city, and we're gonna wait till we go to a plan from the parks.
I didn't vote for the hierarchy of it.
Okay, just, I wanna make sure we're all
I
set.
didn't vote for that. If it was my choice, we'd do it today, do both plans. I'm a planner, you know that, I vote.
So you want to
You're acting
change
like I
this
voted
to bike
for it.
projects and
If-
funding mechanism
If
then?
the commission wants to elevate the status of this project, you have the authority to do that and take it off
We
of the.
change it to this on this page.
Well, it doesn't have to
And
be
we
a plan.
include
Wouldn't
it
have to
in
be
the
a plan.
priorities.
I don't-
tonight. That's the easy way.
I don't think it has anything to do with what we're talking about tonight. It doesn't have to necessarily be here.
This is planned. If we want to do a separate project, it needs to come in separately.
So do you want to do that? Change this one to an action item dealing with bike projects this year?
I think Cody's more interested of doing an actual project versus the plan aspect of it.
I know, that's what I said. Change the title here.
Yeah.
Don't lose the guts here, but change it to bike project or projects, direction and funding.
You know, one, and I don't know if this is the right priority, but I know we talked about a viable first step was meeting with WT and developing those trails from Kenyon up to the trails. To me, that's the kind of thing we could put on here as a timeline that we would try to do that and try to move forward with the piece there. I don't know if that's all of it, but I even think the bike lane part could be in that same meeting with WT, because I think to really move forward with that, that's their thoughts too. A big piece of it's coming out of the campus and coming from the east.
No pun intended, but that's kind of your lane.
Right. The bike lane is
Well,
multi.
let's change on page 50, change the heading to bike trail project, direction and funding, and it would include bike trails, bike lanes, linked to WT, and we can develop actions for those. Joe, following it up,
I'm good with that.
It will stay as bike trail project or projects, direction and funding.
I mean, I'd like
Are
to.
you all okay with that? Give me a thumbs up if you are.
Hang on, Lyle.
Hang on, Lyle.
I mean, that's, you're just talking about my opinion, so, I mean,
Yep, we'll see if we get enough folks to support it right now.
Sure.
I mean, I do.
So I got a yes from Kelsey, a yes from Cody. Was that Gary saying sure?
No, Paul.
Paul, where are you and
Paul.
Randy?
That's me saying sure.
Let me propose this. Let me counter. Let's look at 2 bike trail projects. The one from WT and then one other. We take a look at that. We know we have one, trying to do the one connecting Buffalo Hills to WT, and one other, and we go from there.
You okay with that?
I don't know, I'm looking around and I'm just seeing a lot of stairs.
Well, in theory, staff hasn't really been involved greatly with any of that at this point in time.
That's part of.
Staff has randomly attended one meeting, as far as speaking for myself. We have not brought in Parks Department. We haven't had any strategic planning or real discussions on that. But when we left the last meeting, there was no direction to do that.
So let's add
We need to
it
do that.
as an action, and then we'll follow up with staff, Joe, and develop the specific actions related to those 2 projects.
But
This has been some time back, but I did reach out to WT and they were interested in meeting on that one.
well, and I don't know, to your point, Cody, I don't know that if you all pick these 2 pieces, that may not be the 2 pieces that makes the most sense to the people that are willing to assist with that. I wouldn't know until we met with them.
I would assume the second piece would be a discussion with them. You know, obviously we have kind of one we want, as we've talked about, but maybe a second one with discussion of them, where would be a quality trail project where we work together with them to identify.
I thought they actually brought to WT up as ease of right of way getting to there, so I think they were.
Yeah, they were involved in some of that.
Right, they were.
Going along the railroad and that way, and and doing that. So they helped bring that project. I think I'm seeing a mimic of that same thing with a second unidentified project. We talked about a lot of other areas around town, connecting all of town. I say we try to go after the one that we've talked about, and then we converse with them on a second quality project. Bring that second project back to the commission for input.
And the first step with law would be just meeting with them again, Cody. I think that
No.
if the commission wants us to meet with them, and that's something they want us to move forward with, then maybe
We've
we
gotten,
can-
we've gotten trails grants. through
we can
Parks.
certainly get
That's Parks and Wildlife.
Brian involved, and get everybody involved.
I don't think I've heard about Trails Grant.
So, and then the
I think
hard
they've-
part,
They've cut thousands of,
and then the hard part is getting the legal done.
and that, we just need to talk.
Okay. And I think that's a good, I think.
Kickoff.
Well, it'd be a good quick project to check off the list. It
Yeah.
sounds like is everything like in order,
Right.
basically, just a few conversations.
Well, and that way,
Is that a budget
that way,
item?
yeah, that way we won't have to focus, we can put the planning on the back burner and just focus on 2 projects now, you know.
Right. And this one deals with those 2 projects.
Exactly.
So by February, we need a
All right,
kickoff meeting with
the
them.
next one?
Yep.
Canyon expansion, meet with the mayor to define outcomes and opportunities next month, and develop advocacy strategy and plan, and meet with legislators. This was one of your priorities. Okay with this one?
Hang on.
You know, time-wise, Lyle, I think, have already visited with, our state representative. I think could
Okay.
pull off, another meeting with him and,
I think-
you know, specifically on this, I'd say by the end of the year.
Well, I think that, yeah, I think by the end of the year, you sit down, and I don't know if any of the other commissioners want to be involved in that open meetings discussion, but hey, this is who we need to talk to, this is what we should do, this is how we should go. I think we should have planned that.
At a point, the park superintendent also has offered to, I think, get kind of a small bus together with the commission, maybe some of the city commission from Amarillo and county commissioners. So I think that's more of a tour, but to show the area that could be expanded into too. So I think need to pursue that too. I think we could do that.
I'll add that as an action step, Gary.
Okay. And part of that's encouraging him and, you know, making sure it happens, but he's the one that really even offered that up. So,
Any other comments on that one?
I think first, we just get our ducks in a row and how we're gonna tackle it, Gary, I think that's, and then we can.
We'll refine this one, Joe, then, to include the tour
Yep, perfect.
and the timeline as well. The next one, staff wants some guidance on, I know it's been an action, and a priority both in the vision and mission, that's to expand and enhance events. And this one is related to a major event or festival site, which would be having a site available for some type of major event. What would you like to see done here, City Commission, this year?
Well, rumor has it the CDC has been discussing that with other business owners to do things like that. So is it something that city needs to be involved with too, or is it separate?
I'm not aware of those discussions.
Okay.
I wonder if we need some kind of, I wonder if we need to explore that before we start digging into it. I see we need to support that.
I think that's the thing is, what does that look like? I
We
think-
didn't know where to go.
What does that
We
look
had
like
no
in our
idea what it
minds,
was.
you know? The only close thing I can think about that's got enough ground space is the Kim Road. See, I have to stay thankful. Maybe it's close. You know, does this look like a balloon festival grounds where we could host Renaissance fairs and you know, maybe a beer and wine festival? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here.
Right, because we basically said we had no idea what you want.
Yeah, what?
We didn't have any idea what to even think about.
Is that
That's-
something we push with the tourism, like, later on, or what? Think-
Paul, I mean, Lyle, how many votes did this receive?
That got 4.
So we need you to tell us what it is.
Yeah, I think we just need a little more.
Well, it's somebody's originating idea if it ended up on the list.
And it doesn't need to be tonight either, but at a commission meeting or
Right.
somewhere along the way, we just need to know.
Kind of an idea, you know, is it
Well, it may have been my idea from the discussion that I've heard.
Is this a multi-purpose, you know, is this just grass grounds? Is there porta potties there, you know? Are we gonna have electrical running out to this place for concerts? Is this gonna be where we shoot fireworks off for the?
Lot of questions.
I think
chamber?
it's like a place like where, since everything's on the square, and and the businesses don't enjoy that sometimes, being a storefront, that would be a place that we can hold events like the cookbook, the barbecue and all that stuff.
Yep.
So I don't know how big of a venue that needs to be, but.
I mean, would we do kickoff 2,500?
Joe?
The Spooktacular was 2,000. You know, our events are getting high attendance.
Right.
So
I think
is
the
that what
big
we're looking
issue
at?
right now is the alcohol piece, and so, like, the chamber needs to be able to sell alcohol to make it viable, and so I think if it's, State Bank Stadium, that area, the school's got to be able to figure that out. If it's above, I think there's an issue right now as far as how that sales has to happen through the university. So I think from a dollars and cents standpoint, I think that's their biggest hurdle right now is figuring out that piece. So, maybe we could help with some of that.
Our current stuff happening that you're unaware of, WT went to an all-inclusive contract with Budweiser for alcohol sales on university property. However, the chamber hosts most of the major events or community events, and all Coors, Miller, and Budweiser are all chamber members, and so they can't, you know, they try not to have one over the other, if you know what I mean. So that kind of prohibits them from doing events at WT property now that WT has that, and they won't give and budge on that. And then the second aspect is we have a newer, or a rehab facility in a new building at what was known as Kimbrough. It's a big stadium, 20,000 people seated, nice, great new open room. Well, it's owned by the school district. The school district is seeking an opinion from the Attorney General about alcohol sales on ISD property. Those decisions, as you're well aware, take a lot of time. So those two hurdles are in the air. And I think they have
these issues to be addressed.
Right. So, question is, you know, if WT's not going to budge on the Budweiser, probably need to do it elsewhere, if you know, those events. And then the most realistic, I think, in my mind, I don't know what y'all think, is the CISD stadium could have a lot of places, even outside the parking lot, in the event itself, in the stadium. There's a lot of potential there. But if the ISD can't overcome that hurdle, that'll make it challenging to do those types of events that we're talking about.
So we're not going to solve that tonight, Lyle. How do we move on beyond this?
Can we put it on the horizon?
I would suggest, when, Joe, do you think you could come back with some type of work session, put together a little white paper, here's the issues, here's options, and get some direction at that work session? Does that make sense, Joe?
My gut feeling is I'd like to work with a couple of commissioners on that white paper to bring back to the commission.
Okay. Who are you going to work with?
Not to be naive or not to be discriminatory, I'd prefer not Cody and Gary because I've been working with them a lot. I prefer Randy, Paul, or Kelsey to be on that.
We kind of feel that way too.
Thank you.
So who's volunteering?
Kelsey and I.
Yeah, Paul, I think
Paul doesn't care about
me and
events.
Randy. Paul doesn't care.
Perfect.
Paul's going to be the benefactor and support it all.
We'll need Chris to do fireworks again.
So who am I got volunteering? I couldn't hear.
Randy and Kelsey are going to meet with the city administration to help on a white paper of initial ideas on events.
Kelsey and who?
Randy, Commissioner Ray.
All right. And so you all will work with Joe and staff to put together some type of initial discussion paper.
Let's
and
put
then
that.
bring it back to the commission for discussion and direction.
Let's do that in December to bring back in either January or February.
February?
Yeah, we'll have an internal discussion with those two commissioners in December, and we'll bring something back to commission either January or February.
I'll put February.
Perfect. That'll give us some time to refine it internally before we're ready to throw it out there. And we'll be able to
All right.
we're probably going to have to go meet with some outfits on that discussion, I imagine.
All right. Any other comments there? The next one was added after my session. See, Paul, your vote does make a difference. His vote pushed it to a majority of 3, and that's the West Texas WT University strategy. We'd be identifying issues. What are actions that could be taken there?
Let me update on what's happening right now, and so I can give the commission a perspective. We were working on interlocal. That's kind of fell to the wayside, and that's partially on me, partially on them, because we were about to finish it when COVID happened. Right now, I'm working on the CIP, as everybody is well aware. I have made contact with WT to get input on future joint capital improvement projects in the coming future. And so I do have it coming from that aspect. I'm not saying that that's everything, but from that aspect, we have teamed up to do some of that in the past, and we continue to do that in the future. You know, we took on the Spur, looking at some of that stuff. So that is one thing that we do have happening, and that meeting is scheduled November 23rd. I'm meeting with their Randy Reichel and Stan Pena, their facilities director, and their chief, their VP of finance. And we've had some collaboration in the past. They're going to pay for part of the siren that's going on in the classroom center too. So my question back to the commission is, what other aspects do y'all see us helping and collaborating with and on?
Joe, one of the things we started working on before COVID, you remember, was renaming,
Right.
was it Ford to
Yes.
Carling University? Would that fall here?
Yes. The other project we're looking at, Todd Raspberry and Randy Reichel came to visit with us. They want to do the tower, the lights on the water tower. I do have that in the queue with the electrical engineer. The electrical engineer is one of the Hartman boys.
James.
Is it James or Jonathan? James Hartman's
With Brown.
With Brown. That project I have moving forward. I think I got enough consensus from this body. It won't be a huge expense, truthfully, and so we're moving forward. It's in the engineer's hand, and we haven't heard back from James. So that was the second project on that conversation. On the university aspect, second is also known as university. That is the light where the flame used to be, right there by McDonald's. So that is known as university.
I've got those 2 issues.
Yeah. So those
Is there an interlocal agreement coming forward too, Joe?
Yes, I'm working on it. That's kind of in my court to finish.
When is that likely to be done by?
I'm hoping soon. That we're going to have some of that discussion on the 23rd. I'm hoping there's some land aspects we need to do. I'm hoping they'll let us buy the water tower land over there. They weren't going to originally let me do that. I think that might change, but I need to work through that. So the water tower where the First Out Bank Center is WT land. It's back in the 60s. They originally had talked about us leasing that, or just having a 10-year easement, because that's what's allowable by law. I wanted us to purchase it so we can have it. So that John is helping me on another piece. WT did not sell the piece of property north of Kimbrough Stadium, the parking lot. We were hoping to acquire that. So there's multiple pieces on that. We still need to get a survey. I won't mention that again.
Are we still not there? I thought we were about ready to dedicate the parks.
We haven't not received the surveys yet.
But it's been ordered.
On multiple occasions.
Most months ago.
Okay. Yeah, I thought we were gonna plan on.
We're kicking Kevin Brown.
Yeah.
Kevin knows not to.
By this fall.
Kevin knows not to cross paths with me.
We're working on it.
So those are some of the things happening right now. And then, Cody and Gary mentioned the bike path. That's another topic. I asked Reichel to help participate on replacing the siren on Classroom Center. They're going to contribute 50% or a max of $7,500. So I think that's it. Those are all the activities we're doing. Mr. Reichel brought up 23rd sidewalks, 23rd Street sidewalks. We'll talk to him about that. So a lot of those types.
And we have those coming in 2 years.
Right. Yeah.
TxDOT will be replacing 23rd Street.
I don't know if this is an action item or not, but maybe it is, but regular collaboration with WT, I think, and whether that's on the calendar or not, quarterly or whatever that looks like. Somebody was throwing out too that we ought to
they hosted us to a sit-down dinner. We ought to look to do the same, and host them back and just build that communication.
Is that your house?
What's that?
Is that your home?
I just added that, Gary. Yeah, are you gonna arrange that, Gary?
Gary's
I didn't
on.
put it down on the calendar,
Yeah.
yes, we'll arrange it.
Gary
Mayor's
knocked
on.
out.
Mayor's
All
on
right,
for
we
dinner.
got it.
Mayor's buying dinner.
I believe that was crab legs.
Yeah,
We are.
yeah, there you go.
Where's TML? TML quarterly? Are we not doing it? Are we doing it there? TML quarterly.
Any other comments
We're
here?
hosting with West Texas A&M, I thought.
The only comment I have is,
I've been
looking
involved
at
in
this,
that all.
we need to take a 3-minute break, and, wonder if we need to order pizza too, so.
Hey, Lyle, we're gonna
Yeah.
we gotta get through just this stack, right? These projects and these
You've got,
calendars.
no, we've only got 6 more to do, I believe, 7 more to do pages.
Let's take a
and then
five-
we determine the final top and high priority.
Okay.
Let's take a 5-minute break, Lyle.
What's your
All right, great.
estimate in time for now? How many more minutes we got left?
Realistically, if these, the next few should take about 15 minutes, and the prioritization could take a half hour to 45, depending upon how quickly you make your choices.
Okay.
There's 4 rounds, top and high for management and top and high for policy.
Great.
So probably about an hour.
I don't guess we have anybody to grab.
Give us a little break. You go check in with Julie, make sure everything's going well at the house.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, Lyle.
5 minutes or 10?
Let's do
Five.
Five's plenty, and, yeah.
All righty.
Unless we're going to get pizza.
You want me to
wanna
order?
You know what, I'd be game to order a couple of pizzas and,
Now
I'm
you're
good with
talking
that.
there about that.
It's already 6:30.
We did it out of spot for Commissioner Lyon's sake.
And I was the first person, because one of the CTs talk, work on this. Okay, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's right.
No, Lyle, you have to tell me exactly. Okay, what's the next step? When are you gonna do that? And I'm like, okay, your turns are coming.
Yeah.
But we did that, but every one of these days.
Well, it makes it good because, I mean, I'm just thinking about my own work and like.
Pizza Hut okay?
And then it gets.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mr. Ray?
Yeah.
Meat
What?
lovers, okay?
Pizza
Yeah.
Hut?
Yes.
How was your trip?
Are they even open?
Yes.
Oh, I don't think you need it inside there yet.
Just,
You're
I
asking
don't
me
care
way
what
more
the-
questions.
Any kind of carb is.
You know how to order pizza, go do it, Joe, you know how to do it. Yeah, it just drove us that whole day, but it was good, I mean, it was all positive.
Like, if I would do that to myself, like, you know, more at work probably, but in anything, just like, this is to be done, but I like to procrastinate, so I like to wait till like 2 days before and then I get after it.
Let's see.
I say I work better under pressure, but it's mostly that I like to procrastinate.
Well, it's because, but then y'all are gonna see a calendar, we're gonna have a calendar, and he's gonna, some of these objectives and things are gonna be like a placemat kind of page, they're gonna be underneath it, where you sit here, so that you come every time.
Every time?
Here's the objectives, here's the things that we're supposed to be working on. And not the little tasks, but the big things, the priorities, like we prioritize, they're gonna be.
Yeah.
So every time you come, you're gonna see them. And we'll have to look at it. Way to hang in there tonight.
Huh?
Way to hang in there tonight.
Yeah, that's good.
Good.
I hate the time change though.
I know.
You know?
Feels like it's 8 o'clock right now.
I know. And I keep waking up real early, you know,
Oh, yeah.
and it's dark.
Yeah.
At least it's not real cold yet.
It doesn't look like it's gonna get cold. I mean, the next week is
I know.
still
Mhm.
decently warm.
So did anybody else put out in the news or the press that county commissioner's not gonna run for his seat again, or is Canyon News gonna be able to scoop it?
I gave it to him, but he said he didn't want the story from Sunday. I said, well, I can do separate.
Man, you could have scooped.
I know. It's important to me, I don't.
Because the
think
guy,
that-
the TV guy walked in after that had all been done, so nobody else was paying it. He sat down on the end of the road with his camera, that was TV guy, but he was there late, so he didn't hear Buddy say it. You guys could have
And the
scooped
Globe
him.
News guy was zooming it, but he didn't, I don't know if he saw the video. Because he was asking me about the
The
fire.
guy in the pink hat,
Mhm.
that was there the other night at the school board.
Mhm. Yeah, he's funny. He's from Florida.
Well, his first night, or his first job, or first time to do something for them was, he came over there to the library the night we were at the library for the downtown master plan. He showed up there and introduced, I'm new to town, okay.
They didn't do anything on there, did they? But I saw.
Minimal.
They didn't have much.
No, but yeah, that's news.
I know, I thought it was funny. I was going, look, I can do the separate head, you know. and-
Right, Buddy DeFord announced it.
But nobody else from any news source?
No,
heard it?
I hadn't seen anything
seen
yet.
it. And you think it'd be on television?
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty big.
But Gary wouldn't let you?
Did you, Paul,
Well,
we were at the county commission,
Kevin,
and Buddy said he was not gonna run again.
He said,
DeFord?
Oh, he's not?
He said, we'll just see it.
Oh, that's good news.
I said, I can see it separate. He
I
said,
don't know what
"Oh,
kind of news it is.
it's
You want
just
to quote?
not-
He's not real quick.
Mhm.
You've been there long.
Sure.
You want me or you want Gary or both?
Oh, you both quote. Sure.
Gary, you wanna do a quote real quick?
More is better.
You can let Nell get out of here.
Just remember, every day's a good day, King.
Every day is a good day.
Who started that?
You know about the bond issue, what y'all see in the future and why it's
We lived here for 4 years. The bond issue is helping to expand our water supply and grow our wells. We found a really good piece of property that has a promising water supply, and it's really close to our existing infrastructure. So for Joe Citizen, that is a significant cost savings, where we're not having to run miles and miles of pipe way out of town for the water supply. We could probably get relatively between 6 and 10 wells total in that range, wherever we decide. And it'll be fairly close, it'll be less than 3.5 miles from our existing infrastructure, which is huge cost savings to the city taxpayers and ratepayers.
Well, I think we have to give Joe kudos too, because he's the one that came up with it as potential, just right at our nose, and, it really does have potential to go in and purchase the land, build for water, and then sell the land back off for development of some kind. So, really a great cost benefit to the city.
We obtain those services too, so we can do our wells and sell the services back. Just do water rights.
Oh, okay.
So we got the land too. You know, it's about 620 acres north of the landfill. It's that whole tract due north of the landfill, it's due north of the Cleveland. There's catty corner to the dairy. It's small dairy over there. It's on the house. That whole, it's being farmed right now.
Okay. It's up high.
Uh,
That area higher?
Not a whole lot. It's pretty flat.
It's a little higher than the base. But yeah, it's
Great.
Yeah, so it's
Awesome.
you know, glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you, it's interesting.
Great leadership up here.
You want me to wait, or?
No, you
You think I missed the gist of it?
we're gonna continue on, so we got another hour. If you wanna
Okay.
stick around, great, but I just wanna make sure, yeah.
I gotta start.
Cody, we're all kind
Right,
of
so-
disappointed in you.
Thank you.
That was a typical.
You know, didn't offer to share any of that canned chicken or tuna.
Chicken, it was
Randy and I over here.
cat food.
Still.
Cat food.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, Lyle, I think we're ready to have at it, so.
Ready?
Here you
Yes,
go.
We're on page 54, is that correct?
Yes.
This was put on Joe's list, that's the golf course project. Determine the scope, project priority, and cost. Look at funding options and come to you with a report in March of next year. And then it would be included in the CIP workshop discussion and funding. Comments there?
There has been some progress. The ACM is heading this up, so there has been some progress on
Yep.
this.
We will have something for you.
They haven't looked at the financing piece, but they've looked at defining the scope on something they hope to be attainable. John, is that a good way to say it?
Attainable's a strong word.
This isn't city manager.
We're gonna
John's
have,
John's leading this project.
we're gonna have some options for you. We'll bring forward the full thing. We'll bring that we received this year from our consultant of X million, and then we will bring forward a little bit less, and then what we need.
What we
have.
bare bones kind of realistic thoughts. I guess.
In the conversations we have with Casey and John too, is that it's really a commission decision on if they want a golf course in 30 years.
But I think what you said, though, bare bones, I think there's a lot of different alternatives, and maybe,
that's why we're coming
you know, they
forward.
may say, well, between now and 20 years, we've got to have a new irrigation system, but, you know, there's basics versus not everything
You
on
bet.
there.
That is exactly what John.
That's what we've been
and
dividing
John
out, because
and Casey are trying to do. Bring that those options.
The high dollar, the ultimate was gonna be the relaying out the course with the nice driving range, but that moved some holes and did some things, and then it did these things that we have to do. And so that's that perspective. And then it's gonna come down to have a golf course, you have to have grass. And so it's gonna go all the way down to that perspective, because you don't have to have a clubhouse. You don't have to have a cart barn. You have to have somebody with a cigar box to take money from people playing golf. I mean, bottom line, you have to have grass, because people have to play on grass. That's what we play on. And the rest of that is all important. It makes that grass better and improves the facility. But ultimately, Possum Kingdom, they talk about a course there that forever you went to a trailer, because it wasn't important to have a facility. It was important to have people playing golf. So, but we'll have a plan for you, and we'll bring that forward and let you all make some decisions on.
Well, they'll show you the
what we wanna
Cadillac,
do.
what the
Yeah.
Cadillac dollar amount.
Well, I think the CIP ties in, too. I mean, we've got a existing bond issue that pays out in maybe 4 or 5 years.
Correct.
I mean, there's things.
And we're looking at that, because the important feature with that is once we quit paying on that bond, that frees up those funds that hopefully can be used for as another bond to move forward.
I think the next step is they're gonna look internally at the financing piece, and then I think they're gonna bring the options to you to get the scope and decision on what to put in the CIP.
Yeah, so we'll be good. And conversations, if you pay attention, Amarillo's talking about a lot of things on their parks right now too.
And closing.
That's options that they're discussing.
Closing.
That was on the discussion.
Some of the golf courses.
Parks. City parks.
Parks in general, courses, zoos. I think you're gonna see they're gonna make some serious decisions. They're gonna have to make some serious decisions. If you read the paper, that was mentioned yesterday. They just started those discussions.
Ultimately, before the golf course comes on the CIP, we want direction from the commission on what goes on the CIP. John, is that
Right,
what we
if you wanna go, if you wanna go.
And, you know, because it's a significant, it'll be a millions of dollars investment. We all know.
To approve it.
Yeah, it was 2.1 or 2.3 million when we did the initial, just the irrigation.
Irrigation.
That was it, right?
Irrigation.
Irrigation, nothing else.
Correct.
That's bare bones. That's gonna have to be done.
Isn't that something you go to the voters instead of us?
It's an enterprise fund. It's not a government fund. Y'all set the rates at the golf course. It's just like we don't take water rates to the voters. Could we do a bond like that? Yes, we could. But if you don't play golf, why would you vote for it?
I think some people that live there, and they like, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. That's
That'd be
always
an
an
option.
option.
Those are the kind of things we
That
can
is
do.
an option, but that's
That's what
something we need to discuss.
I'd hate to throw that in with the police station. I think you might be
We just,
right-handed
it is in the
by it, so.
small print. golf course. It's in the very small print.
All right, Lyle.
I saw somebody do that once.
Any other comments here? Ready to move?
Yes, sir.
Decorative lights, apologize, the dates, we'll fill those in, but it basically follows the CIP of your workshop and then a decision on funding.
I went by and looked at
Also
them.
is linked to the
That's-
TechStop
they're awful.
project
This ties-
identified under a prior goal.
This ties into the same discussion I had with Gary a second ago on improving the aesthetics of 4th and 23rd. This goes
Right.
into that same discussion of public infrastructure.
Let's start a poll.
I'm talking about, we've got street lights, not traffic signals, street lights with the Dixie chains, putting those underground, making them nice decorative lights with banner poles hanging out, so we can put Christmas banners, CISD, WT banners. That's what I'm looking at, the full Monty, like you would see in a grapevine or something like that.
That one clear? Comments there?
I had an offer to do all the lighting, but they would have to give up trees.
I bet it goes to a vote.
Huh.
I'm
Any other
negotiating with
comments?
TxDOT to help me fund that project, because it's all TxDOT
I
stuff.
fixed to put a Facebook poll out on my page, to see what everybody thinks about those trees.
It's just
They're
kind of
awful.
Cut all the trees down North Canyon and, yeah.
Every single one of them, they say, cut them all down.
You ready to move to the next one?
Traffic hazards.
This is park upgrades. There are park projects, you can see on page 61, that are going to be addressed this year. But this is doing a comprehensive needs assessment, and this is suggested being incorporated into a parks master plan,
Right.
that needs assessment. You okay with that one? Thumbs up if you're okay.
Might include parkland dedication.
Parkland dedication.
Project Santa Fe.
Good.
This is a economic development. All of this is to be determined.
Does that, everybody understand what that means?
No.
Project Santa
Oh,
Fe.
yeah.
Okay?
That's
what
like
we're,
in my street
we're
level.
calling it code words now. Project Santa Fe.
Well, I think a big trail.
We need to have a conversation with our attorney on a question. I mentioned it to our banker here to get his input, because it was a banker question. So, we need to have some legal conversation. They're asking the right question.
You okay with that one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Buffalo Hills and Brown Road Soccer Complex, a decision will be made on direction in March.
Well, we're trying to get the survey
We just
done.
need the surveys. All I need is some surveys.
We've got the values.
Yeah.
We just need the survey done, but
We'll get it.
the city surveyor can't get to it.
We'll get it.
He Kevin told staff that he knows not to find me because I will get him.
We're working on it. It'll happen.
I'd be glad to call him. Okay.
And part of that is we're waiting on that survey because that involves the purchase of the property with WT. So that may slow down the Buffalo Hills portion of it, but certainly the Brown Road.
We gotta have a survey no matter what.
Yeah.
And WT's asked us to do that, and we've committed to that.
Correct, to survey that property.
My goal, you guys, would be, I think it was 45,000 was going to be the purchase of that, or 40,000 of this property.
The value, the appraised
Yes.
value was like 55 or something.
Something like that, something in that
Yes.
range. That would be kind of a quid pro quo, with the investment split on the water tower light project. It was gonna have, so there would be no changing of hands of cash. Hey, we'll take that, we'll commit our funds to do the whole lighting project, because I want to have them commit to 50% at least on the lighting on the water tower, and maybe some other stuff too. Then maybe only pay them half of that, 25, and then we use the money we would've used for that to the lighting on the water tower. That's what I proposed to them. I need to make that deal and get it done.
But it won't go, it's not going away. It's
not going away.
Because, I'm the parks guy, and I want, the best way I can protect that acreage is to have it dedicated. Because
Is that one clear?
once we do that.
Yes,
it
it's
takes
clear.
further approval, so.
Right.
Any other comments? WT interlocal agreement related to Russell Long Road. a decision on agreement in April.
Yeah, I should have it all wrapped up by then and done.
Any questions there?
In the system.
And then on page 60 and 61 are in progress and projects. Any questions there? There will be a couple of budgeted items there that you will have choices of coming up. Any questions there? That completes the review of the action outlines. In section 11, I would like you to flip to pages 5, 6, and 7. On page 6, number 9, to reflect what we just did, scratch the CEDC, because that's an A, put Economic Development Framework. And that includes CEDC and the city, those merging together. Scratch number 10, because that's going to be included in 9. Is that all clear for everybody? What we talked about earlier. And then add as number 20 on page 7, bike trail projects. And there are 2 of those, direction and funding. Any other, and so what we're going to do is 2 rounds. First, in the top column here, in this column here, in the middle, I'm going to have you identify, out of these on the list, there's 19, give me the 6 most important for you for the next 12 months. After we do that, we'll then go to the high priority. I'm going to ask you for the 6 there. The others go to moderate. So right now, looking on pages 5, 6, and 7, give me the 6 by putting a check in the top priority. And when you get done, read off your numbers. And give me your thumbs up when you're ready to talk with your numbers. All right, Cody, fire away. Numbers.
1, 3,
1, 3.
9, 11, 13.
What was that?
9, 11, 13.
9, 11, 13.
20.
And
20.
I've got 1, 3, 9, 11, 13, and
20.
20. Got it. Who's ready?
I'm ready.
Fire away. I think that was Brandy's voice,
Yep.
right?
1. So 9 and 10 are combined, right?
Yes.
You're not
Yes,
calling that
for
9 or
what?
10? 9?
What are we calling 9 and 10, or is it 9?
9.
9.
Yeah, so 9.
Oh, Economic Development Framework. A and B.
So 1.
9. Yeah, 1, 9, 14.
1, 9,
14.
13,
No, 14.
14,
15.
15,
17,
16,
17,
17.
17.
and 18.
Got it.
No, and Nick's 13, not 13. No 13.
No, 13.
No,
I'm not
13.
nearly as
No,
fast
no,
as
you know,
that.
it's-
Streets in my head.
No 13. The last one he said was 18.
And he did not say 16. Mark out 16.
Mark out 16. Got it.
Let's go over it one more time. Randy.
1, 9,
1,
9,
9,
14,
14,
15,
15,
17,
and 18.
and 8.
Got it.
Okay. Thank you, Randy.
Kill it, Paul. We're not buying them out.
Paul?
1,
1,
3, 3, did you get that?
3,
9,
9,
14,
14,
19, and 20.
19, and 20. Got it.
Kelsey.
1,
Yep.
1.
1,
3,
3,
9.
9. I can hear her loud.
Oh, good. 11,
11.
13,
What was that one?
13,
13,
16.
and 16.
Say 16.
And the infamous mayor.
Gary?
And I might throw out 2, I think 4 and
4,
14 is pretty much encompassed in 4.
He's saying 4 and 14 are encompassed together.
That's right. I think 1 and 3 are the same.
they got different actions associated, so give me the 6, Gary.
1 and 3.
1, 2.
What?
1, 2,
2,
4, 12,
12,
13, and 19.
Everybody give me one more, a 7th choice. I need a 7th choice.
I don't want to.
20.
I got a 20 from Kelsey.
19.
19.
You can't say that. You voted for it twice. 20.
I didn't either.
19.
Wait.
19.
Who else?
16.
Gary for a 16.
16.
2.
2. I need a tiebreaker between 2, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16. Give me one.
13.
Out of 2, 11, 13, 14, 15, and 16.
13.
How many we moved?
16?
No. 13. 1, 3. 13.
That's from Cody.
Cody 13, first vote.
Cody, I've got for 13.
Got it.
14.
14.
15.
15.
Kelsey.
16.
And then
All right, you
Gary.
can only have 5 priorities because this ain't gonna work.
Oh, we got one more.
out.
Gary,
we got one more vote.
Gary's in.
He knows where to cast his vote.
13, and I still think that, the courthouse is part of the Randall County. That's really what we're talking about, is the courthouse in the downtown area is what we're working with on.
Well,
So-
but Randall County strategic issues, we've got issues in the ETJ development pieces.
Okay.
We've got issues with city, county streets tying in together. There's a lot more to
Okay.
4.
Well, I'm gonna move my vote to 4 over to, 14 then.
Okay.
Let me go through
So
there.
the big winners are the following, and you can write in the blank column for priority. Number 1, a top priority. Number 3, a top priority. Number 9, a top priority. Number 14, a top priority. Number 19, a top priority. And number 20. So it's the police station, City Hall Fire Station, it's the bond package, it's the economic development framework, it's the courthouse, it's Texas A&M University strategy, and the bike trail project. Looking at the remainder, give me the 6 next highest. If it didn't make it in round 1, I would urge you to vote for it in round 2.
We sabotaged the streets for bike trails.
That's what she just said. That is great.
I just want to put on the
It's a lot
record,
easier.
the
It's a
next
lot
time,
easier.
you ask why didn't this get higher, this is why.
Well, and I know there's funding issues too, but I'm taking it, these are all already have made the list. So they're all gonna be, we've got timeframes on all of these, and so they're all gonna be working.
But I'm asking you what is most important for you.
But I'm saying, we've said they're all gonna be worked on. So is that wrong?
Right, but that's not the question I'm asking you. If
Okay, but-
something has to slide, they're gonna focus more time on the top priorities.
Okay.
Than the lower priorities.
But the question
That's why I'm
I'm-
asking you, which are the most important for you for the next year?
I hear you, Lyle, but the question I'm asking you is, we said we're gonna take on all these.
You broke up on me.
I understand that, but the question I'm asking you, Lyle, is we said we're gonna do all of these.
We already have dates set.
We've got.
Correct, we are. We are.
Yes, we are gonna do all of them, but obviously we can't do everything at once. There's gonna be obviously a lot to be done.
But yeah, we've got dates.
But sure you have dates, I kind of agree with.
But some of the dates, Gary, may slip if there is a resource capacity issue, if there's timing issues.
There's certain
And that's
things-
why we're separating them into top, high, and moderate. And we'll do that with the management group as well.
That's different, and knowing that, I would have changed my vote. That's not.
Cody's renegotiating his
No, I'm not
votes.
negotiating, I wish I would have understood that better.
We can go back and do it again?
No, but it's cool, carry on.
How many do we pick?
That would have been awfully
Six
silly for
next
me to
highest
put silly.
that are
bike trails in front
important
of-
to you.
Yep, gotcha. 6, now what are we doing? 6 highs?
We're gonna meet the next level, 6.
Do another 6 commission, and this will be
These
the
are the
second.
next highest of importance to you.
Almost there. So we don't pick the same one.
Correct, do not pick the
You
ones
do
that are
not
already.
pick 1, 3, 9, 14, 19, or 20. Those are already determined as top priorities. This is also where you can take this to other bodies and say, we've identified this as a top priority.
How many of these?
6. And thumbs up when you're ready.
We're ready.
Gary, you got your,
Yeah,
who's ready?
Paul Ray's
Okay.
ready, Paul's ready.
Paul's ready.
2,
Paul,
2,
2,
4,
2, and then next.
4,
4. He said 4.
4. 4, next.
7.
Because when you and I speak, I can't hear you. That's part of the problem. So
2.
after I say 4,
7.
pause and then give me your next one. After 4, Paul?
7.
7.
7.
You'll just block me.
2, 4, 7.
2, 4, 7.
8.
After 7?
8.
8.
13.
13.
13.
16.
And one more.
16. That's that thing.
I'm ready.
Randy Ray's ready.
What was this last one?
16.
Okay.
Let's see if you can hear me.
2.
2.
8.
8.
15.
15.
16.
16.
17.
17.
18.
18. Got it. Cody.
4.
4.
7.
I cannot hear.
7.
Put it up.
7.
7.
12.
12 I heard.
11. Nope.
11.
That's fine. 19.
19 is already a top priority.
That's it. Go right there. How many is that? You didn't count them.
5. You got one more.
Put 16.
16.
What was that last one, Cody?
16.
All right, got it. Who's next?
I'll go. 2.
2.
4. 12.
2, 4, 12.
Yeah.
13. 16. And 17.
Got it. Kelsey?
6,
6.
7,
7.
11,
11.
13,
13.
16,
16.
18.
And 18. Give me one more choice. Give me a 7th choice that you did not vote for in round 1.
17.
I got a 17.
Yeah, we did not vote for in round 1.
Right.
Yeah, but we could have voted in round 2 for
Yeah,
it.
give it a second vote.
So the ones they just voted for, Lyle, can they vote for one of those again?
No.
Okay. So
A
something
new
they,
one.
Not round 1, not round 2, so this is round 3, something completely new.
17.
There's no ballot voting.
17 for Paul Ray.
Got it.
17.
Got it.
11.
Got it.
11.
Randy Ray for 11. Gary for 11.
All right, your high priorities are number 2, CIP. Number 4, Randall County Strategy. Number 7, Wastewater Management, a Master Plan. Number 11, Water Conservation. Number 16 is both the cleanup of the area and intersection at 4th and 23rd. And number 17 is Canyon expansion. The others remain on the list as moderate. So those are your top and high. Go to pages 9, 10, and 11. This time I'm going to have you give me the 6 top priorities, or 7 priorities, and put those in the middle column, just like what we did before. These are all on Joe's list, but you're saying which are most important from council's perspective.
How many? 6?
How many choices? 6
You
or
want to
7?
get 7 this time.
7.
Okay. Give us a couple minutes to look over.
Yep. Cody.
1,
1,
4,
4,
6, 6,
after 4,
6,
6,
10,
10,
11,
11,
13,
13,
16.
16. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Here I am. Ready?
Yep.
1,
1,
6,
6,
8,
8,
9,
9,
16,
16,
18, 19.
okay?
Go ahead, Paul.
1,
1,
8,
8,
13,
13,
15,
15,
16,
16,
17,
17,
21.
and 21.
Talk less louder.
All right, 1,
1,
6,
6,
11,
7,
15, 15, 16,
15 and 16,
19, and 20.
19 and 20. Got it.
1,
1,
2,
2, 1, and 2.
2,
4,
4,
11,
11,
13,
13,
16,
16,
19.
19. Well, well, your top priorities are 1, the fire department staffing. Number 6, the strategic plan adoption. Number 11, the subdivision ordinance. Number 13, the TERS. Number 16, the downtown master plan. And number 19, Project Santa Fe. So it's 1, 6, 11, 13, 16, and 19. Looking at the remainder, give me the 7 next highest.
Three.
3,
8.
8,
14.
14,
15.
15,
17.
17,
18.
18. Got it.
Jason's last name is He's correct.
You ready?
Yep.
3, 4, 5.
3, 4, and 5.
8,
8,
10 and 12.
10, and 12.
15.
What was your last one?
15.
15. Got it.
Five, 8.
5,
8.
8,
9,
9,
12,
12,
15,
15,
18, and 20.
got it.
5,
5,
8,
8,
14,
14,
15,
15,
17,
17,
18,
18,
21.
got it.
8,
8,
9,
9,
10,
10,
12,
12.
14,
What was that one?
14,
14,
15,
15,
18.
18. I need a tiebreaker between the following. 3, 4, 9, 10.
Pick one.
3, 4, 9, 10. Pick one.
3, 4, 9, 10. Give me one of those that is most important for you.
4.
4,
9.
Gary for 9.
Randy for
9.
9.
Randy Ray for 9.
9,
9 works for me.
and
4.
is that everybody?
Yeah, Kelsey chose 4 at the end.
Your high priorities are the following. Number 4, the water rate, the water, wastewater, and solid waste. Number 5, the American Rescue Dollars. Number 8, the water barn facility. Number 9, the proactive communications. 12, the development guide. 14, stormwater master plan. 15 is the housing and growth assessment report. And number 17, the golf course, and 18, decorative lightings. So that covers what we needed to get done tonight. What we'll do is clean this up, get it for your final review and adoption. A couple of comments. I know it was a little tough audio-wise, but you guys did really well for the first time. Why we set these priorities is everything can't be a priority. And you sent some real clear messages to the staff and the community of what things you feel are most important for the next year. I will work with staff to help do a monitoring system and reporting so you can get quarterly updates. Hopefully we meet in an abbreviated way a year from now to check off what's been done, to look at next steps on some, and add others that were important this year but didn't make it to the list for a variety of reasons. Those will be listed on the horizon. So I thank you for your time tonight. Any final comments before we wrap things up?
So when do we look back at this then and say, okay, these were the dates where, is that a quarterly deal or is that semi-annual? What do we do there as far as?
What I'm suggesting is quarterly review with your staff and an actual update a year from now. That's the standard with the clients I work with.
So
and it will be done, Gary, in a spreadsheet where you can see whether you're on target.
Okay.
So staff would bring quarterly reports on the progress of the high
It will be on one spreadsheet.
And they'll have the calendar also. They'll have a copy of the calendar themselves.
Yep. So this makes it a living process, Gary.
Okay.
Any other final comments? I hope this met your needs. I enjoyed meeting you last week, and hopefully look forward to seeing you again next year. So, and Joe, you and John and I will be doing some refinement of this, so the documents, these two documents, can be adopted in December.
Okay. We'll have this on the December meeting date. I know from a staff standpoint, this gives us, y'all's vision, and it's staff's job to figure out and make it happen. And we're excited about that. That's why we have to work together on that, stay on the same page. That's all I have.
Okay. Any final comment for me? Was it helpful?
Yeah, well, I enjoyed you. You did very good.
No, I think it's a good process. So, and
you
we'll
got
see
a
you
solid
here.
plan, folks. And I thank Joe, you and John. John's been great. He's been my liaison and shepherded this through and coordinated. John deserves a big hand because with all the weird travel things and everything, it worked out, and I think you're in good shape, and we did it in a very timely manner. So
thank you, John.
Thank you all, and you have a good holidays coming up.
Thanks, Lyle.
Thanks, Lyle.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
If anybody has any questions on any of this or discussions they want to have, especially on the economic development piece or a project Santa Fe, I'd be more than happy to do that outside of open meeting.
Okay. Any other questions or thoughts?
I'd like to make a motion.
Let's have a motion.
You'd like to? Please.
And adjourn.
Meeting on Monday. Regular meeting Monday.
7:22, Gary, is that?
Yeah, 7:20. Gretchen just sent out the agenda packet for Monday.
What time on Monday?
4:30.
Yeah, Gretchen's still here. She's trying to
She's
push
got the
that.
agenda packet just out to you guys. Open session won't be that long. Closed session will be the longest discussion.
I have an executive memo that didn't make it in the packet. I'll have that. It'll be on to them. We'll get to that, or it'll be here.
There isn't a detailed agenda for closed session in the back of the meeting.
I won't be. Anything you need from me?
Yeah, I'll have a discussion with you.
Real quick, because I won't be back.
It'll take longer than that. Especially on, did you see the executive session agenda? Number 4 is the big one. Development.
She's pretty powerful. She doesn't actually serve
It's
the
gotta
office,
take a
but
little
she's
longer than that, probably.
a middle.
Are you all
Middle, she's always in the front.
No, not necessarily. We're gonna need at least a little direction.
We can talk after that.
Yeah, she does it. Yeah, she moved,
Tiers?
no, she's.
Are you all gonna make it?
No, I think we're gonna probably start having early discussions of who that might be. So I think you need to, John, tiers discussion, early thoughts on who that might need to be on the board, is what the commission needs to be thinking about for board composition. No decisions to be made, just.
Correct. I'm gonna give you an outline of what we said the committee looks like, some changes we might wanna suggest to the committee, and then also, the laws on who can be on the committee. And then, after that, it'd be the kind of people, what you're looking for.
Tiers, we had 2 presentations, CISD, one went well, John did that, and then, the consultant and I did the one the next day at the county. So, CISD has a lot more questions, a little more strenuous to get that one done. County was very receptive. I thought, Cody was there and Gary was there. I think they would probably mimic that comment. Good questions for them, so. The next step for CISD is to have a little more in-depth conversation on the financing piece. Probably have at least a couple commissioners and a couple of their board members at the next meeting. That's probably gonna be mid-November at the earliest, if not late November. It's as fast as we can get to it, so. They're apprehensive to give up any funds, and I get it. I get it, so.
However, we did learn something, we did information today that was helpful.
Right.
Participation levels across the state.
Yeah, we got
Unaware of
we
that.
got all the tiers across the state, and we sent that out. I didn't send it to I don't think I sent it to the full commission. I think Gary was the only one on there. I don't know if Cody, were you on there? No. I can forward that on to you. Comptroller does a massive document. It's 320 pages.
Every 2 years we have to, because tiers have to report in every 2 years.
They report all the property tax abatements and all the tiers. And it tells you who's participating at what percentage across the entire thing.
And in the big cities like San Antonio, there was some crazy numbers.
Yeah, we're hundreds of millions of dollars.
From.
We'll go look at that here in a second. There's
Like
pizza
a
should be here.
$1 billion
Pizza should be
value
here any second. You can take some to go with you.
To a $200 million value, but they did something there. It wasn't just.
Do you want them to take those?
Piece.
You want them to take those?
No, why don't we just, I'll just keep them, I'll put them in your boxes until the boxes collapse from the way that the notebook.
Okay.
And then you can decide what you want to do with the multiple pages. You'll have the report. And you're also going to have some reminders at your seat in the future, once we get this all finished, then talk about the report.
See what, these rates are incredible.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah. It's a huge for taxpayer. I mean, we've got a lot of work to do on, and I know we're all focused on.
I don't know if we are or not, I'm not sure.
But I know where to turn. I just thinking through just the general concept, this is a good time to borrow money. So,
You're right.
But that was great.
you'd like to borrow it all in this kind of environment, so.
Fantastic, and that's after their fees that we save that money, and
Yes.
that's all factored.
That was all factored in, yeah,
Is in this rate?
yes. I mean, they're, yeah, I think so.
I mean, our savings are calculated
Yes.
through there.
Correct.
I mean, but to save $500,000.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a great. Paul, and EDC thoughts?
New director.
I know, but I mean, other than that.
Oh, well, you can't get anything done while she's there. She ain't got no, she has one, but we won't be I'll do it this time. You need somebody to think ahead, think out of the box, be able to present stuff, and work with the commission. She can't do it. I mean, put mind to be doing all this, we need to do it. Wish we had a new guy or a new person that could really do that.
I understand your stance.
So, but it's good, I mean, EDC needs to be part of it, you're thinking on it perfectly right, they don't